Archetypes in WoW raids can be pretty serious business. The first boss of a raid often is the seller, delivering maybe not so much an expectation for the rest of the raid, but more so is meant to pull raiders into the raid as a whole. Meanwhile, the final boss is meant to complete the package and generally speaking offers the most epic conclusions we could ask for. The final bosses are usually scaled way above our understanding, not just in difficulty, but also in their general size and feeling. They are massive, dangerous beings that threaten the very existence of our way of life, and we have to clash with them till the end of days, or at least until we start seeing purples drop. Today I'll be talking about the best of the endgame raid bosses, the strongest, most epic final bosses this game has to offer in raiding, and let me tell you, WoW has quite a bit of epic final bosses, so much so that this list took hours just to put together, and even then I still had to re-look over it just to make sure everything was perfect. I'll be choosing these bosses based off general experiences they offered raiders and myself, how intense they were, epic, lore driven, or just overall impressive. It's also worth noting that I mean any final boss in a raid from a progressive chain. Bosses like Yogg-Saron count, whereas bosses like Algalon aren't technically final bosses. This is also my opinion on these bosses, but I'm always down to know what yours are as well, so drop them in the comments and I'll make sure to check it out. Well, what am I waiting for? Let's get this started with number 10. Starting off this list at number 10 is a controversial choice of mine. It's Cthun from Temple of Ahn'Qiraj. I know a lot of people expected him to be much higher, but sadly, I felt like there were 9 other bosses that offered even more intense, epic blood-pumping experiences. That being said, I do love everything Old God, and while Yogg-Saron is my generally favorite Old God, I feel like Cthulhu's encounter is far more intense, of the two at least, visually. From his intro eye phase where you're being chased by a giant eye beam, to his main phase where you're fighting Lovecraft tentacles and battling deep within Cthulhu's stomach, there's a lot of hectic but still very enjoyable things to deal with in this encounter. Oh, and don't get me started on the overall atmosphere of the encounter. Riding into a dark temple chamber on a 40 Battlecraj mounts, Cthulhu whispering despair into your ears. God, he was freaking cool, and he really looked the part too. Coming in at number 9 is Shen from Throne of Thunder. Shen jumped all over this list, to be honest, before I finally settled on putting him closer to the bottom. That doesn't change the fact that his encounter is out of this world in design and flow. I really hope you like lightning, because Papa Shen be bringing the storm. Shen starts out pretty interesting but also simple in his encounter, but on his transitions is when things really start pumping up. Shen takes control of the central console on the platform you fight him on, and bam, all hell breaks loose. Lightning flying everywhere, hundreds of storm elementals. I mean, this encounter is overwhelming just to look at, imagine doing it. But it does more than just look epic, it also looks graphically impressive, considering all the things going on. The beautiful mixtures of blues flowing across the platform, Shen's awesome design as he battles you tooth and nail. This encounter is definitely one of the most electrifying in WoW. I said electrifying. Oh god. Up next at number 8 is Blackhand from Blackrock Foundry. I hope you didn't just clean, because Blackhand is about to be bringing down the house. No, serious, he collapses the floors. Blackhand is one of those encounters sort of like Shen that even to an outsider just looks freaking intense. From him cracking the floors, making your core and him plummet down to the next level, or the epic final showdown you have with him over boiling hot lava? There is enough for everyone to just sit back and go, holy crap. Of course, Blackhand has other tricks up his sleeve as well, including punting your players into bleachers and summoning freaking army tanks to give you a swift butt kicking. Overall, I really felt like the Blackhand encounter was a solid return to form for Blizzard that impresses me even to this day. And man, is it freaking epic. At number 7 is Nefarian from Blackwing Descent. When it boiled down to Nefarian, he was definitely one of the harder choices for this list, not because he has one epic boss encounter, but because he has two really epic boss encounters. Picking between them was really freaking hard. On one hand, you have his final encounter in Blackwing Lair, battling him upon his balcony on the side of Blackrock Mountain, but on the other hand, fighting him in a giant lava science pit with his newly resurrected dead sister, and like there's lightning and zombies, well that's just something you have to see to believe. I won't lie, Nefarian is easily one of my favorite WoW villains. He knows how to test limits, his moral compass is all jacked up, and honestly this final showdown with him in Blackwing Descent really shows all of that with flying color. You jump down into a giant arena pit to find Nefarian has used electric therapy to bring his dead sister Ahn'Qiraj back to life, and she isn't so happy to find you there. After a detailed brawl with her, Nefarian joins the fight before covering the whole arena in lava. Once the lava is drained, you have a final stand against the Black Dragon and his undead horde, and it's really freaking intense. Oh, I guess I should mention that like every 10% or so, he freaking shoots down giant lightning bolts, so yay for crackles. Woo! Coming in at number 6 is Kil'jaeden from Sunwell Plateau. I want to start this off by saying that KJ's new Tomb of Sargeras encounter is an amazing encounter. He's intense, he's got some epic qualities, but it just doesn't stand up to his original brawl with you in Sunwell. Right out the gate, Kil'jaeden wins the Best Villain Entrance award. I mean, the guy rips out of the Sunwell in such a way that it still leaves me in awe seeing it today. The entrance alone really sets up the expectation for the rest of the encounter to come as well. It's hard, but more than difficult, it's got a lot of things going on for it. Shadowbolt volleys swirling overhead, Kil'jaeden randomly cloning your raiders, and of course his super powerful Darkness of 1,000 Souls ability that you have to soak with blue dragons you control. That's right, you get to control blue dragons. That's freaking awesome. If Archimonde set the bar for burning Legion leaders really high, then Kil'jaeden took the bar and he ran off with it. At number 5 is Illidan from Black Temple. Nothing screams epic final battle like a rooftop tumble and brawl, right? The showdown with Illidan atop Black Temple is one of WoW's most iconic and epic battles. You are greeted first by Okama confronting Illidan for his crimes. This doesn't sit too well with the Demon Hunter and he strikes against your raid. While his first phase is a standard boss fare material, it's the second phase on that show the true potential of this boss encounter. From Illidan throwing his warglaives into the ground, summoning giant fell elementals, to Illidan metamorphosing into a gigantic demon entity, this encounter knows how to be extremely showy, and I love it. Of course, I'd rob this fight of its pride if I didn't talk about Maev's theatrical entrance. Upon hitting Illidan's final phase, he locks you all in shadow prisons, basically cementing his victory, or so he thought. His arch-nemesis Maev's Shadow Song enters the fray, and Illidan is suddenly a lot less confident. Shoulda took some Viagra there, buddy. After this, you alongside Maiev finish off the Demon Lord, for good. Or at least until Legion. Up next at number 4 is Heroic Ragnaros from Firelands. This is a lot about a boss when any number of his boss fights could have made this list. Original MC Rag is a testament to his time, and while his fight hasn't aged quite as well, it's still a fantastic boss. Regular Firelands Rag is also quite the showstopper, from his epic hammer down phases to the last percents where you're dodging boulders and boiling stage hazards. He offers a huge mixture of scary and intense things to deal with, all while making the fight look very epic. But it's his heroic version of this encounter that really seals the deal. Once you get Rag low enough, he attempts to flee very much like he does in the regular encounter, but some friends decide that he isn't going anywhere. Cenarius and gang freeze his lava, halting the Fire Lord's retreat. Oh, suck it, Rag. You were about to get your ass oh my god! We pissed him off. We pissed him off! Seeing Rag bust out of his lava pit with legs is still one of the most amazing moments in WoW history for me. I mean, who would have thought this would happen, right? The final showdown with Rag is going to take everything your raid core has to defeat him, and it took tons and tons of attempts for actual raid cores to down this boss in all its intensity, utilizing two very powerful druids and a god's powers to put this flaming chunk of legs down for good. We are at our top 3, and at number 3 is Argus the Unmaker from Antorus the Burning Throne. Legion content has brought a huge amount of epic encounters, such as one of my personal favorites, the Gul'dan encounter in Nighthold. But I never quite felt like those battles met up with the previous expectations that other raid bosses had set. That is, until I did Argus the Unmaker. Fighting a Titan on the seat of the Pantheon in deep space is one thing. Fighting a Titan that plans to bring all life face to face with entropy, ooh, that's another thing altogether. It really says something when a boss fight actually makes you feel like you're fighting to save everyone's lives, and not just punching a loot pinata. From his intense astral slashes to his celestial phase where you get to fight tons of Algalon-like constellars, Argus is a non-stop showing of how to make a near-perfect boss encounter. A what? What? He kills your whole raid? And then Eonar brings you back to life before you have to battle him once more? That's right, the final phase of Argus is the real moneymaker. As Argus gets stronger and stronger, raid members will continue to die, having to utilize Eonar's gift to continue to spit in the face of death and take down the Unmaker himself. Epic. At number 2 is Kael'thas from Tempest Keep's The Eye. Some people are probably like, wait, an elf? An elf beat out a Titan god thingy? Yes, he did. When I look back at all these fights for their complexities and unique concepts, I see a lot of potential for most epic final bosses. And then there's Kael'thas. A multi-phase rally of Blizzard throwing every quirk and fun little thing they could think of at you. You beat Kael'thas' individual lieutenants, wow, nice, now you're gonna have to fight them all at once. How about fighting a ton of legendary weapons and then looting them to actually use in the fight against Kael himself? Of course, the cream of the crop is the brawl with Kael, and he doesn't disappoint. From mind controlling your raid to hurling your players up in the air and having them fly around the room, Kael'thas knows how to make a great show, and let's not forget that intense amount of voice lines he delivers as well, that make you question if you should even really be killing this guy. Of course, the deal sealer on this encounter is the phase in which Kael powers up, shattering all the windows in the room and making himself grow massively. Oh, hell yeah, baby. At the end of the day, there could only be one number 1, and of course it had to be the Lich King from Icecrews Citadel. Take the death-defying struggles of Argus' encounter and mix in the themes and theatrics of Kael'thas', and you have the final showdown with Arthas, the Lich King. Before the fight even begins, you're given a nice little intro to the encounter, as Tyrion rightfully stands up against Arthas, ready to smack his butt around. Yeah, you get him, Tyrion. We're all behind you 100%. Oh, crap. Okay, well, I guess we'll have to do all the fighting then. The first phase is pretty good, especially on Heroic with all those shadow traps, but it's his first transition phase that lets you know this fight is going to be intense and epic all in one. Arthas runs to the middle of his platform, unleashing massive ice blasts while you fight against your outer demons on the outer platform. His second phase adds even more intensities, with Valkyries flying in and attacking your raid, and goo known as Defile spreading among the platform if you don't get out of it. And then yet again, you're met with another beautiful transition. Once that's all over with, you're greeted with the final phase, and it's intense to say the least. It just gets more and more scary. Arthas summoning random players into Frostmourne to fight for their lives, while the rest of the raid deals with flying ghosts and more Defile. On Heroic it gets even scarier when Arthas just opts to summon all of your raid into Frostmourne and then hit them with a barrage of exploding ghosts. Of course, at the end of the day, he is no match for your raid, and wait, what? That's right. Before Argus killed your raid off, there was Arthas. At 10% health, he wipes your whole raid in the blink of an eye, and proceeds to make you into his cold dark champions. As you sit there awaiting your conversion, Tyrion calls forth the light and strikes down Frostmourne, resurrecting you in the process, giving you a chance to put Arthas the Lich King down, once and for all. Now that is an intense, epic encounter. I hope you enjoyed my list on my top 10 final raid bosses in WoW. As I mentioned before, I'm always down to know what you think the best final raid bosses are, so hit me up in the comments, I'm always down to debate. If you enjoyed the video, why not subscribe and check out some of my other videos. I do lots of Blizzard stuff like WoW and Overwatch. As always, I'm Captain Potato, and I'll see you guys next time, next video.